Yes, in this video I'd like to explain, or I'd like to share my view, my opinion that you can see precious watches, even when they're made out of gold, you can see them as something with more sentimental value or ideal value, and at the same time you can see certain pieces as an investment. The reality is not black and white. We don't have to choose sides here. We can be the passionate collector, and at the same time we can make stone cold decisions about investments. Alright, let's start with the material and the value of the material. Gold has seen a drastic increase in price over the last months and years. Here you see a long time chart, and there's clearly visible that gold has doubled its value over the last years. And this of course affects watch prices. If you imagine a golden coin, has 30 grams, 1 ounce, this size, feels relatively heavy, but not super heavy. And when the watch has a bracelet and parts of the bracelets are made of gold, or the entire thing, then perhaps I need 3 coins to make that watch, or even 4. And 3 coins means around or a smidgen under 9,000 US dollars costs for the material alone. And now you can imagine how the calculation of a manufacturer looks like when the manufacturer is planning a golden watch. 10 years ago, there was of course a big chunk of money in the calculation for the material, but now it's a major part. And so when you see a modern golden watch with a drastic price tag, then you can be sure that there's a damn big position in the calculation for the gold alone, because you need your 1, 2, 3 coins of gold for it. And this of course leads to new risks, because over decades, literally decades in the past, the gold price was relatively stable. Now the scenario is a bit different, because something that can go up, like gold nowadays, can go down. I mean, some advisors will tell you that it will go up forever, but I don't find this very credible, to be honest. When we see a sharp increase in price, then there is definitely a risk that you see the other direction. But it's of course also possible that the price climbs again, or that the gold rally goes on for years and years and years, and then you make money. When you now put 10,000 euros in the watch, then it could worth, or the material alone could be worth 12,000 next year. Who knows? Absolutely possible. And so bottom line, these times where gold was seen as a very stable thing are over. There are advantages and there are new risks. And now you imagine an actual watch, or perhaps you have a golden watch in your collection. Take it in your hand, and then the question pops up. Which question? Of course, how much gold is in my watch? You can put it on a scale, and then the scale says for the watch head, let's say 30 to 40 grams. This is of course not entirely gold. We have movement, crystal, and all these other parts. And there is this unfortunate rule that there's always less gold in your watch than you think. Because imagine a drastic example, chronograph Swiss from the 40s, 50s, 60s. Chronographs Swiss made from various brands, relatively big, 36 millimeters to a 39, I think. And they were fairly cheap on eBay. You could grab them for 400 bucks. Now they go for 500 or 550. But you think, wait a second, this is a big watch, there's a big amount of gold in it. Why can I buy that thing for 550 euros? The answer is very little amount of gold. If you disassemble that thing, then you realize that the caseback is very thin. Under the caseback you find brass or something more solid to protect the caliber. Then you put the caliber out, has a certain weight, the crystal out, and then you even can see when you disassemble the entire thing, then you can see that the case is hollow, and the amount of gold of these old chronograph Swiss is around 5 grams. That's it, not more. But little foray here, if you want to make a very, very tight and very precise calculation, then you have to bear in mind that watch gold, or gold as a material, is never 999 parts gold and 1 part other materials. It's very often 750 parts of gold. So this is very important to keep in mind. Here you see a little table for carat and parts per thousands, and the most common alloy here is 750 parts of gold for your watch. And of course, when you have to determine the price for an actual watch, then you have to Google the 750 gold and not the 24 carat. Okay, very important, otherwise you get an unrealistic high price. Alright, and these aspects lead to the next topic, watches as an investment. There are collectors that say a watch cannot be a good investment, and I have to disagree, because a watch has a price. The price can go down, the price can go up, and it's part of a marketplace or several marketplaces, so by definition it can be an investment. And we have to keep in mind that a successful investment is seen as successful in retrospect. For example, gold, as explained, was seen as a lame duck over decades. It's secure, it cannot drop to zero, but you cannot make a lot of money, a lot of profit with it because the price is relatively stable. This was 10 or 15 years ago, and now people say, well, it's a great investment. So this view has changed. Or of course, take certain Rolex models where people with experience and knowledge realize that these models can go up. And so these models were great investments in retrospect. And the key word here really is knowledge. I mean, imagine the scenario, you don't know anything about the stock market, but you know everything about watches. It would be upright naive and stupid to put all your money in the stock market, because you have always this advice from many really capable people: invest in something you understand. Or take our golden watches. We have a fairly complex scenario. We have a material that is very volatile in price. We have shortages. We have to calculate how the industry reacts. Perhaps golden watches are seen in 10 years as very rare because the production is very low now because it's too pricey. Or people stay away from golden watches because they're afraid of a drop in price. And so we have quite some parameters here to keep in mind. But when you are saying now, I feel comfortable with that, I have a strategy in mind to use this scenario, then there's nothing to say against a golden watch as an investment. But wait a second, there is one strong argument against watches as an investment, and these are service costs. The industry has successfully convinced many of us that you have to service your watch every 3 to 5 years, and it's very easy to spend $1,000 or 1,000 euros on a service for a watch. And often people argue that ruins the entire calculation. Therefore, it's impossible to make a nice profit with this kind of investment. And I cannot deny that factor. It is real. But we have to see that every physical investment comes with a price tag of storage, for example. I started buying gold coins in 2018 and was a great investment for me, but I had to enlarge my deposit box at the bank. And now I'm paying for that box with an insurance around 350 euros a year. So every 3 years I have my 1,000 euros spent only for storage and in insurance, right? So these costs are real, these factors are real, but nobody would say, I will not invest in gold now because I have to store that stuff. Nobody would say it because there's so much potential in it. Plus, you can see these costs, storage costs or investment in a service, as a bit of an insurance for your physical asset, because a watch or gold, the price cannot drop to zero, right? And so you can see these additional costs, storage and service, as a bit of an insurance against a total loss. And another aspect is, in case of watches, that you get back some money from a service because you can sell the watch for more money. In my experience, you will not get the entire cost for the service back. When you spend 1,000 for a service, you will not get back 1,000, okay? But it depends a bit on your talent as a seller, but you have a fair chance to market at a high price so that you get back your 500, 600, 700 bucks for the service. And this is then not the end of the world, or at least this is not a factor that ruins every calculation. Okay, conclusion, let's stay realistic. Watches are great, and I especially enjoy the historic part of it and the design and really the sentimental value. But when you have collected watches and a bit of knowledge around watches and you see something and you realize I could make some money with it, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with that. And so in my opinion, it's absolutely possible to have a collection of nice watches you would never sell. A collection of keepers, and then you have 1 or 2 pieces where you realize this could finance the university for the kid in 10 or 20 years. Absolutely nothing wrong with that, because when you have that knowledge, you can use it for your pleasure, but also to make a bit of money on the side with that. Plus, when your strategy is wrong, you have bought a piece as an investment and then the price goes down, wear it. Put it in the other side of your watch collection where the price cannot drop to zero and you can get some pleasure out of that piece. So you cannot go wrong. This investment cannot fail in every aspect. And so I think we could see this relaxed. Everything is possible here. By the way, it's been a while since my last Q&A video and I like to produce one with your questions. And so if you like to know something, you have a question in mind, then please put it here in the comment section, or you can write to casebackwatches@icloud.com. If the question is a bit more complicated or longer, or you just prefer submitting it via email, then do that. casebackwatches@icloud.com or here in the comment section. And then in 1 or 2 weeks, I will produce a nice Q&A video with your questions. Okay, and this was it for this video. And as always, if you like to invest in fine leather products like straps, wallets, belts, watch cases, you name it, then please visit casebackwatches.com, where you'll find a nice selection of high-end leather goods produced here in Germany. Absolutely worth the money. And now let me thank you very much for your attention, and until next time.